Alrighty, Biscuits, 3 tips for moving to Western Washington if you are not super liberal wokester. That's just the phrase I'm going to use. People have been so politicized in this country, but you know, however you want to define that. If you're more middle center or right of center, how you can still move to Western Washington and enjoy it. Number 1, avoid most big towns and cities. They're going to be extremely liberal and you are not going to find your social group as much. If you can get out to the suburbs of smaller cities in Western Washington or into the countryside, you're going to meet a lot more people, I would say right of center and then far right. If you want like a little tiny bit left of center, you can probably find that in the smaller cities. But if you really want center right plus, I would say look for suburbs and look for really being out in the country, you know, like 20 to 30 minutes away from maybe population centers of 100,000 plus, right? That's kind of what you're looking for. That's your vibe. I get asked this question by people moving to the area, you know, where do we pick? And I go, it totally depends on your personal preferences. Western Washington is beautiful, but you have to know what social areas are going to be agreeable to you, right? You know, because you don't want to go through life going, oh, I really don't like that. Life is too short for that. Be happy. Alright, so number 2 is how do you deal with the housing crisis that is out here? So housing is extremely expensive. Like starter homes are $650,000 to $750,000 for the most part. They just are. That's a starter home. It's not going to be renovated for the most part. And I get it depends on your area, but it's an extremely expensive area to live in. So if you're looking for good deals, I highly recommend looking a little outside of your desired zone. Now this is going to change a lot based on do you need good schools. I don't think Western Washington has good schools per se. They have good private schools, but the public school system out here is pretty overburdened, and it has a really, really bad bullying issue that it's not dealt with. And this is true of not just like one school, but like whole school districts. So I personally don't vote moving based on school districts. I did that. It was a huge mistake. Learn from my lesson. So look a little outside of your desired area. Be a little bit more willing to drive to exactly where you're thinking about. It will save you a huge amount. Another thing to think about is that sometimes in Western Washington right now, it's a lot cheaper to rent than to buy. I don't know how that is. Sometimes it's twice as much to buy than it is to rent a similar house. But, and this is a huge caveat that I don't hear anybody bringing up, the rental market, the places you're going to buy in general, I don't want to say this about every landlord because it's not true, but I would say 80-90+% are not hugely maintained because prices have gone up so much. Like property insurance and property taxes have doubled, tripled, quadrupled in the last couple years. Landlords don't have that extra money to put into maintaining or updating it. So there's a lot of issues with a lower quality stock that's still extremely expensive. So even though owning is going to be more expensive than renting right now in Western Washington, you do then get to update it and make sure that it's to a health standard that you like. So be cautious going in all rosy-eyed going, I'm going to rent, it's so much cheaper than buying. There's reasons to that, and it's a really tight market. So if you have pets, you kind of have to assume you aren't going to find a rental in most areas of any updated quality. It's really hard. Those go, I mean, we're talking within a couple days, sometimes a day from when they're listed. So yeah, it's cheaper to rent, but is it actually a better idea if you are a family with pets and with a whole standard of living that you really want to bring from wherever you're going to? Alrighty, so if you are a little right of center, you maybe you're super right of center. Maybe you're like, Rose, I'm not a little right of center. I'm so right. I can't even see the left anymore. You want to think about education. So be prepared that the public schools in Western Washington are very, very left-leaning, very super left-leaning. All of the after-school activities, for the most part, are going to be very left-leaning. So, you know, I still see a lot of people in masks. It's funny that became a symbol of leftism, right? But I see a lot of people, kids in masks for school and after school programs. There's going to be a lot of pronoun conversations that they will not mention to you. Your kids will bring it up and no one will have told you that that was a conversation. That's pretty standard in all of it. It's going to be much more left-leaning of the extracurricular things you're going to be doing, the holidays, the way they're going to be celebrated. Public school out here is extremely left-leaning. So if you are center right of center, you might want to think about hybrid schooling, homeschooling, or a private school option that maybe fits more of what you want to be teaching your kids. And again, I'm not value judging one thing or the other. I'm just saying I wish people would talk about both sides for folks that are thinking about moving here or that are in the area and are thinking about, you know, moving different parts of Western Washington, because I think it's really helpful for people to not be scared about talking about that there's different cultural norms, there's different social expectations in different parts of Western Washington. So really consider schools. Give that as a heads up to your parenting when you're thinking about moving to Western Washington, is it might take a little bit more effort, time, or money, often all of those. If you are not okay or you don't feel comfortable with a very left-leaning education for your children, and that's, again, totally personal for parents. Okay, Biscuits, I hope that was fun to do. That is a question that I haven't gotten a ton, but when it popped into my inbox, I thought, I'm going to totally answer this question because I think it's a great one that I don't think I've ever talked about for Washington. And isn't it fun to hear about places, you know? In fact, would you do me a favor, Biscuits? Drop in the comments below YouTube channels or names of channels that you like that talk about these kind of things, you know, moving tips and what's an area really like for other parts of the country. I would love to hear about that. I'm such a little nosy gossiper about different parts of the country that I want to know all about it. You know, whenever I travel somewhere, I go on Zillow and I'm like, let's look what the houses are, houses are schoolers rated, you know, because I just think this is very fun to do. It entertains me greatly. Biscuits, if you would like to come along for some primal, amazing self-care, I would love it if you clicked on over to my Patreon. It's a beautiful way to support this channel, and we have so much fun. I'm doing some more fitness content on the intro level because it's something that I've started trying to focus on, and I thought, okay, I am going to add this in and just kind of share where I am on the journey. And we have our homemaking tier, and then we have our sauce burlesque tier. So it's kind of all big range of self-care for your primal inner being and really connecting to that, just that primal wisdom we've got for how to care for our bodies and our minds and our hearts. It means so much to me that all of you, so many of you, yeah, over 1,000 of you have signed up for Patreon, and that really fills my heart with a lot of joy, and I cannot thank you enough for helping me and supporting my page over on there. It just makes my heart very happy. So I will see you over on Patreon, and I'll see you in the next video here on The Wholesome Feed. Bye, Biscuits.